Good evening and welcome to the March 1st meeting of the Waterboro Board of Selectmen. If everybody would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening again and welcome. This is our first March meeting in the new year. So we have no public hearing scheduled for this evening. Any announcements from the board? Sensing none, we do have a request to add to the agenda, and so in front of you somewhere there's a Maine State Orthoimagery Program that's soon to launch with our GIS company. It's run through the state of Maine. So Dave and Mike and Shirley have asked that we consider this in tonight's agenda. So if someone would move to add this to as item 9D.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? So we'll add that on as Maine State Orthoimagery Program. Sorry. Okay. We do have an appointment this evening. Couple appointments. We've got Sheriff King with us, and we've got your county manager Gregg Zinser on Zoom here. So, question concerning some of the contract deputy program things that we're doing. So. Sheriff King, if you'd like to step to the podium, and we've got Gregg on the Zoom in here, so we really asked to have you in to have a few discussions. I believe Selectman Provencher had provided some questions that were raised. The other question, I think, was certainly, I know that we're up for a new cruiser this year, and I think then there was the question on accounting and cost of, the contract deputies going forward and whatnot. So if you'd like to give us kind of an overview of where you guys stand now and what you've got for contract deputies in the county, and that's kind of an intro. So
Okay, well, first of all, thank you for inviting us, and I really don't have anything prepared. I mean, the manager and I have been talking all day, and we pulled a lot of numbers together for you folks. But at present we have two contract deputies here. We have two contract deputies in Arundel, one in Parsonsfield, one in Leamington. Actually, the Leamington one is on suspension, and the contract is suspended. And we have one in, Dave, what's the other one? We have 7.
Acton Shapley's.
Acton Shapley, that's right, they split one. And we have an SRO. So, and I commend all these towns that do take the proactive step of having their own contract deputy. It certainly does provide us, some relief, because we're very at minimal staffing, and this certainly does provide a lot of assistance for us to provide effective policing. The manager and I, we went over the contract, and it's fairly straightforward, and the manager is prepared to speak about the contract. I mean, it's the direct costs, and I think Dwayne Faye's went up 4.5%, and again, the manager can explain why, and Levi's went up 3.1%. But the contract deputy is expensive. It is an expensive proposition, but I want you to look, at what the calls for service are, and it's it's not just the number of calls for service, but your attention is directed at how many things are self-generated. I mean, the building checks, 370. I doubt if you didn't have a contract deputy, you wouldn't have that amount of building checks. Community police contacts, 338. You know, disabled motor vehicles, 40. Directed patrols, 421. Follow-up investigations, 417. I mean, motor vehicle stops, 727. I mean, all these are important. I mean, motor vehicle stops is not just for traffic, but it also cuts down on Part 1 crimes because people don't want to steal and have something in the back of their car and then get stopped by the police. So, you know, we're just ready, and myself and the manager, we're just ready to answer any questions that you might have about the program and what you're being charged.
Questions, folks? Go ahead.
So I just want to let you know that I support the program 100%.
Good, thank you.
I was once a sheriff's deputy, and I know the value out here, and I know what's provided. I know the work that the men and women do.
All right, thank you.
Dangerous work out here. People think city work is dangerous. Well, rural work is just as dangerous.
Oh.
Help's far away, and everybody out here's got a gun. That's just the way I look at it every time I think about the work that they do out here.
Well, Mr. Provencher, we haven't agreed in the past, but I will agree with you there.
Good.
I was a Portland police officer for a number of years, and I had a backup that was 30 seconds away.
Yep.
And when I go out, if I few times I have been out and I've taken some police action, the backup is 10, 15, sometimes 20 minutes away.
Yep.
So you're absolutely right. You really need to use a lot of different skills when
Yes.
you're rural policing.
Absolutely. And if you needed help on the side of the road, I'd stop to help you anytime.
Very good. Thank you.
My question is we put forward the budget for this program to the voters in June. And in that budget, we're looking at 40 hours times 2 of coverage, so 80 hours a week of coverage. And I know that the contracts need to get pulled for zone coverage. It says it in the contract that it can happen, right? So I guess the concern on my end is we've got almost 9,000 people that live here. It's roughly the size of Buxton, right, comparably. They've got a police department that's got, I think, 4 or 5 officers with a command structure in place.
Right.
We've got 2 deputies that are taking calls on shift, doing follow-ups, but when they're not here, we don't have that coverage that we've told the citizens that we would budget for. It's so like we're relying on you guys to provide us with a police department almost, right? You respectively being our chief, because we don't hire a chief, but if we had to have a chief, I would assume that that would be your role. It's not specified in the contract here, but you would oversee that role, I would think.
It would actually be chief deputy for
Chief
that's
deputy,
okay.
All right. And I guess my question is, if our expectation is 80 hours of coverage, how do we get that every week? With the exception of, which is understandable, training and PTO. That's going to happen no matter, if we owned our own department, it would be the same thing, right? How do we get there so that we have the 80 hours of coverage? Because the image it has, and I'm not saying I'm 100% in agreement with the image, is that we completely finance the deputies. And there are people here this evening. So we pay uniforms and equipment, we pay cell phone, laptop, computer, internet access, vehicle insurance, police liability insurance. I assume false arrest type of stuff would be covered by that. Vehicle gas, and then we also buy the vehicles. So once the vehicles hit 100,000 miles, is that a reasonable number to think that we got to get a new vehicle?
Yeah, I don't know how many Dwayne has on his car right now, but I think it's just, I don't think there's any set number, but whenever the vehicle is deemed to be less than efficient, that's when we will replace it.
So, and if they do go do zone work, It used to be that they would go and get a backup vehicle.
Correct.
Now, I see that as a safety issue, actually, for the officer, because if you get in a backup vehicle and you don't know where stuff is,
Right.
and you have an issue, the last thing you want to do is looking for something that you need to help yourself.
Correct.
So I think that's probably the least of my concerns, because I'd rather them be safe. My larger concern is we essentially pay for both of them, but they can be pulled into zone anytime, because your commitment is rural patrol by state statute.
Correct. Yeah.
So how do we make it so that they don't get pulled?
Well, I don't know how often the Waterboro deputies have been pulled into general patrol. And when we looked at the hours, I mean, Dwayne Fay had 2,058 hours in Waterboro, and Levi had 2,085 hours, and we all know there's 2,080 hours in a year, working hours in a year. So I'm not certain, and I don't know for certain, and I can check on that, if they've ever been pulled out of Waterboro to satisfy the general patrols. And you're absolutely right, Mr. Provencher, that's our core mission, is rural patrol. But I just want to add, though, that Waterboro is in a unique spot. It's in the middle of everything. So even if nobody is actually assigned to Waterboro at a particular time, there's always somebody around, because you really can't get anywhere in York County unless you come through Waterboro. I mean, these are all the main roads. So I think, I just want, because I know that this is being in, I want the Waterboro public to know that there's always somebody around, even if Deputy Fay or Deputy Johnson are not physically assigned to Waterboro. There's always going to be somebody around. But, I mean, when I looked at that, it looks like that really people are, that we're here. I mean, that they have not been pulled. And I can double check that, but it's just from the hours alone.
I can't say that I have, I see the car in other places on a lot of off days.
Right.
People in this town are generally noticing where our town vehicles go.
Right.
I can tell you that has been an issue in the last 6 months with a whole other department.
Right. Yeah.
And they see the car that says Waterboro Patrol on it, and it's spent 2 days out of the week up in Cornish, because somebody works up there and they see the car. So
Okay.
it's not necessarily just me seeing
Sure.
it, or I'm just asking, do we track how many times they're pulled out of the incorporated lines of Waterboro to patrol elsewhere for a whole day?
For a whole day?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Or a half a shift.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. In fact, if they're pulled out at all, they're supposed to let their sergeant know that they had to go to a call or what have you. And this issue came up, I don't know, a year or two ago, when we had some people had complained, or some other selectmen prior to you being on the board, that it was happening quite frequently.
Right.
And when we pulled the statistics, it really wasn't. It was just, I think, some people saw it and they were loud and they complained. And again, I mean, we try our best that if somebody is out, again, if they're out for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, what have you, or a half hour, we're not gonna worry about that. We figure that's de minimis.
I think that's
but
reasonable.
If someone's out for a long period of time, we'll make it up to Waterboro, and I think we have in the past. I think when Gary Lamb was here.
Just to interject on that, if I can. Obviously, when the deputy leaves town, wouldn't it be neat if all the crime would stay in Waterboro? We could just solve it all right here. But
No, we don't want it here.
The deputy has to go to other towns and other areas to do follow-ups and proper investigations to do it properly. So that could be some of the reasons why you're getting complaints of the car being out of town. And then to take off on what you had just mentioned, Mr. Zinser can correct me on this, but the payroll system accounts for when the deputy is patrolling other than Waterboro. There's a pull-down tab in our payroll system, and it's billed to the county rather than to the town, if I'm correct on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, That's correct. Let me, I'm going to share my screen. It looks like I have the ability to in a minute. I just want to go over a few, perhaps some spreadsheets that were created. And I think this really kind of comes down to probably for a couple issues. The accountability, which, you know, I'll talk about that in a minute because we, you know, you're not the only town that asks about this. In terms of where are the deputies that I've hired, how does the billing work, how is the time billed, and so I will absolutely talk about that in a minute. Like I said, I'll share my screen. The other issue is how you cover the 80 hours, and you know really the short answer to get right to the point is statistically, if you average out all the hours over the year, the answer is that's not going to happen because of follow-up investigations, because of PTO, because of holidays, that really if you're looking for a consistent block of coverage for a defined period of time, you might be talking about more than 2 deputies. You might be talking more than 3 or 4. That's more of a discussion that we would have to have with you in terms of what is your ultimate desire, because when you do bring on a deputy, you bring on the full cost of them, as you folks know. Every year we get to those estimated spreadsheets, and you carry the full cost of that deputy. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen here, you know, for a minute. We received a couple questions, and I think this may help to establish and set, you know, kind of where we are here. Let's see if I can do that. So I sent this to the board this afternoon, and you know, I think I'm going to home right in on the answer to question 2, and I'll provide some backup on that in a minute. The long and short of it is, rest assured, when the deputy is not there not performing functions related to the execution of the town of Waterboro's contract, you are not paying that individual. And so in the payroll system, the deputy has to flag the hours. In other words, when they go in, the contract deputies are trained to, on the drop-down menu, choose the contract that they belong to. And all hours worked when they're working under that particular flag, those are then billed to, on a pro rata basis, to what would be the contract town, in this case, Waterboro. And that goes all the way down into the detail level of the health insurance, the dental insurance, the whole 9 yards. So if we call off a deputy for 4 hours, for 5 hours, or the day, that deputy is trained to change their hours to patrol time if it's beyond the confines of the contract. You know, because sometimes we do respond and we'll provide an agent assist to a pull, you know, someone getting pulled over, you know, maybe right outside the town limits, back up for another officer. That's specifically allowed in the contract. But that is all accounted for, and it works its way down into the billing system. Those hours are aggregated, and then ultimately they go into a separate fund within the county where everything is tracked individually for the town of Waterboro. And that's then really ultimately, you know, spit out, for lack of a better word, into an invoice. So you only pay for what you get. So the next question that you're going to have is, well, how do we know what we're getting? And so, you know, it's a good question, it's an obvious question, and I'm going to just pull up an earnings statement for one of our officers for the last fiscal year. Everything that needs to be redacted has been redacted, so there's no issues in terms of confidentiality here. Just a printout from the system, give it a minute to pull up. I'm going to highlight a couple of things here for you. Let's just take this date right here. I'm going to see if I can highlight it. You know, 7/9/2020. And so what you'll note here, yes, I can get new reports. This is the last fiscal year. That's why we have this one available to us. And so but we can do these on a weekly basis. What you'll note here is this line item here, 50150, that's what we refer to as the Sheriff's General Fund. Same thing here, 50150, and those are billed to the Sheriff's General Patrol. So that week, this individual worked 15 and a half hours of overtime, and that was billed to the Sheriff's General Fund. And these lines right here, 50115, that's the Waterboro contract line. And you can see there for this particular week, this individual was paid $30 hours in straight time hourly to Waterboro, along with the holiday right here at 10 hours, and some additional things here related to shift differentials. I'm going to scroll to the bottom because this does kind of answer the question, why do you see a deputy, the Waterboro car, for example, in Cornish or in Parsonsfield? And so, because it's agreed upon that the deputy is working overtime, but again, Waterboro is not paying for that. So your contract for Levi is typically in the neighborhood of 60 to 65,000 for general wages. But you can see here that, down here, that he's actually making more than that. We're not billing you for that. That's part of the general fund. Is there a better way to track this? Not necessarily, it's the payroll system. We could give this to you every couple of weeks or, whenever you want it. And this would give you a clear accounting of how many hours were attributable to Waterboro versus being in other places. So the sheriff said prior that, in the past we've gotten complaints. And in fact, with the prior town manager, it was an issue that came up fairly frequently in terms of, hey, we see our deputy, or I'm hearing of the deputy responding to other towns. And so if we're given specifics, absolutely we'll look into it. We were given some specifics, but they turned out not to be anything of substance that would require us to essentially reimburse the town for that. It was situations where the deputy has every right to take overtime on a general routine patrol. So we actually found that it really wasn't happening as much as people believe. So I'm going to stop sharing here, and I'm going to pull up another one. The next spreadsheet that I'm going to pull up for you is a general accounting of a summary of the total number of hours that these individuals have worked. And I'm going to just do a calculation here real quick. And I can't get it down to the exact number, but when you factor in these items here, as 2,058 hours attributable solely to the town of Waterboro. These items here, these items here are 2,139 are attributable to the town of Waterboro, and that's most likely he had actually some direct overtime in the town of Waterboro. So from an accounting perspective, what's clear to me is that the deputies are spending the amount of the contractual required time in the town of Waterboro. Again, what you're seeing here, though, is remember that includes the paid time off, any other leave with pay, training time. That's included in the regular time right here. So these deputies are not really getting called out. They're working a lot of overtime in other towns. And while you may see the vehicle, you do, but that's really what's happening. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for the 80 hours of coverage, statistically, when you break everything out in terms of the holidays, the days that they're off, and then in terms of their schedules, you're just simply not going to get it unless you get more. The average statistic for a 24/7, 365 day in operation is you really need like 5.3 people in order to accomplish that 168 hours in a week. And so that includes just a little bit of overlap. So if that's full-time coverage in the town, someone there all the time. So if you say we want half of that, you're talking, almost a little over 80 hours. So you're talking really 3 people in that regard to get your dedicated block of what amounts to 80 hours of coverage, plus a little bit more. So, you know, again, I find the biggest issue is always the accounting. You know, rest assured, we'll give you any type of report you want. You know, the cost moving forward, I think before, right after, you know, the town manager left for another opportunity, we sent the updated costs going into the fiscal year '23. You know, we're looking at anywhere between a 3.1 to a 4.5% increase over what we would call the current year's budget, which really isn't half bad, frankly, as you look at this. But, you know, we struggle with this as a county every year, and it's the biggest expense of all of our budgets, and that is personnel. You know, it's expensive when you look at it to have personnel. There's just simply no way around it. But these are the costs of the deputies, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that the board may have at this point.
So I think if I'm looking at this from a 60,000 foot viewpoint, if we didn't have those contract deputies, you wouldn't have the workforce that you have.
That's correct.
Is that a fair statement?
That is a fair statement.
Okay. So the towns around us are benefiting from us allowing you, on our behalf, to hire these fine people. But they really have no skin in the game.
Well,
You know,
you know,
and I don't. So
again,
I guess for me, if I'm looking at these numbers in the contract, right, we're all in 100% with all the expense, but we have all the skin in the game, and no one else has any skin in the game. So if you could see it from my perspective, I'm not speaking for the entire board here, is that if you can pull them to cover your zones because you need that help, and let's face it, help's hard to find. I'm quite certain of that. Then the county really has no skin in the game in the program itself financially. You do, though, with manpower, because you can pull them, put them in zone coverage, go make your rural commitment, and we're losing out on coverage here when that happens, even if it's overtime, and they cap out at 40 hours a week. Right.
But just to be clear, though, Mr. Prevention, you're not getting charged for that.
Right, I know.
But
I know that.
Yeah, and I just want to also be clear while the manager's on there that we talk about contracts all the time.
I bet you do.
I've gone up and I've solicited some of the area towns around here. There's really only 3 towns that don't have a contract right now that of the patrol that we cover. Cornish, Limerick, and one other one. I forget now. Right around that area. Newfield.
Yeah, Newfield.
But I've gone very aggressively and talked to all of those towns to say, look, if you do your share, it'll be much easier. It'll be a force multiplier. They're just not interested, possibly because of the reasons that you cited. But even when, I just want to stress, and I don't think anyone's ever been pulled from Waterboro, but even when we have pulled them from other contract towns and we haven't charged them, but the reality is that they stay in that town until they get a call for service.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, I can understand.
Sure, if I may, let me, add a little thing in there. So I'm not entirely sure who asked the question. It's a little difficult to see. Maybe you could raise your hand for me. Thank you. The reality is I don't think I'm going to be able to change your mind, or, you're certainly welcome to have your view on this. And I think your view is you feel as if the town of Waterboro is subsidizing some coverage for other towns by basically carrying the cost of the full-time deputy. And while I certainly understand that, as the sheriff said, but you're not paying for it. You are paying for the full-time coverage. You are receiving the full-time coverage, but there are other things that go into our calculus of what we have to do and what we can and can't do. And these individuals are allowed, under the union contract, overtime opportunities. Mm-hmm. And you allow that in your contract with us for us to do that.
Yep.
So while I understand your point, I can't really agree with it, and again, I don't think I'm going to change your mind on that, and you're certainly welcome to it. But again, just kind of going to point out there, the other towns aren't paying for it. You know, is it a force multiplier for us? Sure, for those hours a week that the individual is working overtime for us. If you did not have these contracts, we would have two less employees at the sheriff's office.
Correct.
That's how that would work. If we did not have it, they would not be there. So again, I understand your perspective. I'm not so sure I share that outlook in terms of how, you know, your belief, and these are my words, of course, not yours, that you feel as if you are subsidizing that coverage for other towns. And
I feel like we make the safety available for other towns.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a common question that comes up during the budget season for us in the county, because we have 14 towns that feel that they're subsidizing the sheriff's office for all of your use. Mm-hmm. And so it's the same conversation, just kind of a domino effect, you know? And
yes.
So this is not a new conversation to us that we've had. I certainly understand and respect your position, you know, and all I can say to that is, I don't think that's going to be able to be corrected, you know, unless those other towns have done what you do and start paying for that added level of enhanced coverage. And again, a lot of folks, a lot of towns are, you know, resistant to that. But then they're also asking us, on the other hand, hey, can you come and do this? Can you come and do this for us? And, you know, sometimes we do and sometimes we don't.
Yeah. So
You know?
a possible solution to all of this is for all of us towns to get together and say, what do we need to patrol these towns effectively? Now, if you were to say to me, and I think this is a statistic out there from the National Police Association, is that it's essentially an officer for every 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. Now, that might be the rate in a crime-ridden city.
It's actually one officer for 60. One officer for 1,000, and one officer in a rural setting for 1.6.
Okay, so we behave better out here then, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, if we went by that statistic, and I've used that statistic a lot,
yep.
We'd have about 60 deputies.
Right. We need more. And when I go down to Monroe County, down in Florida, they have all those deputies all over the place patrolling all those towns, and it's very effective, actually. It's very cost effective too. So I think we need to look at with the other towns too as well to say, how do we almost collectively bargain this, you know, as towns?
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Sound like, you know, I told you so type thing, but we've had this discussion previously. In fact, I've had discussions with select board to maybe go out and talk to these other folks.
Yeah.
You know, go talk to the Limericks, go talk to the, I mean, Acton, Shapley, they get along very well. They have a deputy, and it works out well.
Yeah.
But I want to just kind of comment when you said that we're paying for other people's safety. There's a reason that Waterboro is the fastest growing community in York County, mm-hmm. according to the Maine Commission, Planning Commission. You know, I mean, this is a great community, and I think that deputies certainly enhance the feeling of public safety.
I would agree.
But you're right. I mean, does some of the spillover affect Limerick and Dayton and the rest of the communities? Yeah.
Yeah, it does. So I think in the future, maybe not this year, but in the upcoming budget seasons, we need to look at what is adequate coverage for this town for police services.
And I would invite you to talk to some of your select board members from the surrounding towns and say, look, this is a great program, and encourage them. Because
is it Standish that has 4 or 5 deputies, I believe?
They have 24/7 coverage.
24/7 coverage.
Yeah, Standish has a complete police force, and you know, I think they have 6 deputies and a supervisor.
Okay.
I mean, it's dedicated to Standish.
So my last request is to see the patrol commander out and about or in Waterboro.
The patrol
in the contract towns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whether you stop in vehicles, you're just sitting there doing stuff on your computer, but just to see the patrol commander, not the sergeants, the patrol commander, out on the streets, working the beat a little bit would be nice.
Yeah, I'll take that under consideration. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Any other comments from Dwayne?
No,
Yeah,
I'm all set.
my only issue, and I think to a little bit of support of Selectman Prevention, right? We buy the cruiser. That cruiser is used when they're on overtime, right? We pay, you know, the health insurance and all of those kinds of things as part of the contract, and I understand that, but that doesn't get offset by the overtime that they're doing in some other community. So I think, you know, we had a conversation back when Gary was around a couple of years ago. I think that a lot of this can be resolved if, in fact, we go back to getting at least monthly reports of when people are off or when they're working overtime. You know, we're outfitting the cruiser with radios and the uniforms and stuff. You know, the county's not picking that up because used to pick it up, and that's why we've gone from $150,000 to now $250,000 a year, because we're now picking up all of that stuff, right? Plus, we're now going to buy a cruiser for $40,000 some odd dollars this year. So I think that this has got to be a little bit of give and take, and I understand that, you know, the contract is written so that if you need to pull the folks, then you need to pull the folks. If you need to use them. But I think there's got to be at least a recognition that, you know, we've got a lot of skin in this game, you know, financial skin, right? We're paying for the gas, the cruiser, the radios, the uniforms, the health insurance, all of it, the MERS. Now that'll adjust if somebody works overtime. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, the real fluctuation here is the wages, and that's what the county's picking up, right, when they're on overtime.
Right.
So I just think that the more we can communicate, and we used to get regular updates. Unfortunately, I don't think that we get those anymore. We get the report from the two deputies of all of the action that they're involved in. But I think moving forward, we're now, you know, talking $250,000 in this year's coming budget. You know, we're looking at, you know, potentially adding you know, a third. That's certainly been banded around and discussed, and that might happen sometime in the future. Who knows, right? But I think the bottom line is that if we're going to have the contract deputies, then I think that there's going to be some recognition that, you know, when they're off doing overtime, which contractually you're obligated to give them overtime, right? But they're in Cornish and they've got our cruiser and those kind of things. So you at least got to be a recognition that's Waterboro's cruiser, right? So,
I mean, and you know, actually the manager and I we had discussed that, and some of this stuff is a little under budget that I don't think we're going to touch. But the vehicle gas was negotiated a while ago, and frankly, with gas prices now, we'll probably lose money on that. But you know, so I absolutely hear you, Mr. Abbott.
You know, one of the things that I think when we're talking about skin in the game, I think it's always important to note and point out. And again, I certainly respect where you're all coming from, and where we go in the future with this is absolutely something that we can discuss moving forward on. But let's not forget also the costs that you don't see, and that is the administration and the overhead and the management of these contracts. You know, those are the unseen costs that are not passed on to you because we're reaping the benefits essentially of having a fully functioning conveyance staff at the sheriff's office, fully functioning administration to oversee the administration of payroll, making sure the bills are getting paid, making sure the insurances are covered, making sure all the accident investigations are done, that happen on a routine and regular basis. There is quite a bit of administration that goes into these particular contracts. Yep. And so as we add more and more contracts, let's not lose sight of the fact that that also takes more and more time of the sergeants, more and more time of the command staff. But those are costs that the county absorbs as part of our routine operating budget that everybody in the county pays for. So I just want to make sure that, when we have those conversations, that we're having the full conversation about all of the costs associated with this and, what we'll call the unseen costs and as we move forward. So it's just something to contemplate and to think about and kind of keep in the back of your head as well.
And just to segue onto what the manager said is, because you mentioned you want the patrol commander to see him, and I understand that. And just remember, there's basically two people. I mean, I've got the jail, which is a headache. I've got the patrol, and I've got civil service. So I've got managers in all three of those. But really, the people that are running the patrol division is the chief and the patrol commander, and we rely very heavily upon the sergeants. So
Just once in a while.
What's that?
Not all the time. Just once in a while.
Okay, all right. Where do you live? I'll make sure he drives by your house.
Call me when he's out. Give me a call when he's out.
All right.
There's a road just beyond our driveway.
Yeah, it's right over here.
Park in that yard
Okay.
and walk the
All
traffic.
right. There you go. That's what we'll do. Mr. Chevet, I didn't mean any disrespect earlier when I called you by your first name.
It's all good.
Didn't realize where you're at.
Anything else from the board?
Hey, thank you all for
If
having me.
not, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you, Greg. And
you.
we,
Have a good night.
I think the more communication that we have, the better we're all going to be in this.
Absolutely. And what I'm going to do is I'll come up with a form that will show when people are off and all that, and I'll send it to you. And maybe if we can just have a regular form, and
Yep.
we'll just add that to the list.
That's fine.
The other thing that could be done is when that car goes out of town for overtime, the mileage on that car, I mean, there's,
Mr. Woodsome, this is where I have to, that would be a management nightmare.
okay.
Yeah, it
No,
really-
it's
it really
just a
would. We talked-
suggestion, but
Yeah, we talked about that before. That would be a management nightmare to figure out, the mileage and all that, so.
We have been very fortunate to have two deputies that live in town.
Right.
When we first started this program, we had someone that lived out of town, and we tacked up 100,000 miles in about 2 years' time.
We don't want the one that lives in Kittery.
What's that?
We don't want one that lives in Kittery.
Right. Well, everybody wants to live in Waterboro, so you won't have any problem with that.
All right.
All right,
Thank you, folks.
thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, we do have a second session here with Christine Torno, who is the deputy tax collector. Talk about tax acquired property.
Okay, so I gave you a little printout here for tax acquired property. You have there's attachment of tax acquired property in there. So we have 20, this says 23, we have 22 now because we just had a payment today of a tax acquired property. They were foreclosed on January 16th, 2022. Julie and I have been working together to get that done. From December, we've collected over $120,000 just in tax acquired. That would be some really old ones that finally got collected, which is a great thing. Last December, I sent out a letter to tax acquired, some old tax acquired people, and just mentioned that you guys had talked about doing an auction in the future. Had kind of briefed that just a little bit and to contact me. A lot of those old ones have paid. We've done, how many quick claims, Julie?
You've got a half a dozen in process right now.
In process. So it's worked well to just reach out to them and say, this is what is going to happen if we don't get this straightened out. But why I'm here is because in the meanwhile, I found this little policy that we had on our website that says we take full payment of tax acquired property, which is, I've always been under the understanding we did too. But in the past, we haven't always done that. We've taken partial payments. So what I need from you is to know, should we take the partial payments, even though that it could still go up for auction, and how to stress that to the...
Well, several years ago, we had a legal advice that the selectmen could not be involved in any agreement to take partial payment.
And I agree with that.
Right.
And I did talk to Karen from our accountant service about that too recently, and she said that is not a smart move to do. You should take full payment. But why I'm kind of here too, on page 3 of your tax acquired property, I have one customer. And it's account number 2336, second account on that page 3 of that tax acquired property. It's a piece of property on Penny Circle.
Yep,
There's a lot of money owed there, over $32,000. She brought me a check for $6,000. She wants to pay $6,000 a month until it's caught up. No contract, and this is what I really need to know is, I have the check, I did not post it, because it's up to you guys if you want her to come up with all that, or if you want me to take those and see if that works, or how you want to handle it. I mean, I thought to myself, if we posted it, then we could stress that if you decide to go to auction, it still goes and pull the note if you needed to pull it. And I think that's the smart way to do
if
that.
they want to, if certainly somebody wants to come in and pay their taxes, right? We have a tax payment plan, right, which is allowed by state law, right?
Well, our tax club is allowed by the
Tax
state.
club, right?
Yes, that's
So,
okay, that's
but
different,
if
that's not
someone-
back tax,
if
not
somebody
tax
wants to-
acquired.
If somebody wants to make, and I'm not saying this, that people should do this, but if someone wants to incrementally pay their back taxes, I would think that we would take their checks. The oldest tax bill is
Gets
gonna get
paid first,
paid,
that's correct.
right? And there's no guarantee that we're not gonna go to auction if they still have premature tax liens, right?
So I guess my question is, does this policy that we made in 1998, it's very old, is it null and void? That's your last page on my little packet there. Is that null and void? Or can you just make the decision? That's why I'm here, kind of. That's an old one. It was on the website. Julie had found it before when Karen was here. And I told the girls out front, if somebody's tax acquired, they're all labeled as tax acquired in our computer system, to come see me.
Well, none of us were on this board at that point in time, so
Absolutely.
I would think that the first thing that we need is some sort of, if we change this policy,
Yes.
is it legal to change the policy?
Yes.
Right? I mean, we can null and void this policy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I wouldn't do that before we have some,
Guidance.
a legal opinion.
So that leaves me in lingo with that
Yeah.
partial payment. See, that's why I'm kind of asking you how to handle that. Now, that,
Does the 6,000 take care of 1 year?
Yes.
Back taxes?
yes,
So
and then
that-
she
are they
assured me
more than
that,
3 years overdue?
Yes,
yes,
How many years?
6,
6, yeah.
counting from 22.
Yeah. So she did assure me what she was going to do, because I asked her, I said, how would you come up with this? We haven't received any money on this account since 2020. And I said, how would you come up with this? She said, I'm going to reach into my 401K for $6,000 a month for 6 months. Good for her, for even giving me that information. So, I mean, I guess it's really you guys' call on how I proceed with that. But I do have, it's a cashier's check, it's not a personal check, it's a cashier's check, so that's why I'm kind of
It's a bank check,
Yeah,
so the money's guaranteed.
the money's
We should
guaranteed,
get
yeah.
one check.
I mean, I know that we don't want people's homes or properties, but I'm not sure how to follow this policy and that, to
This
post that.
policy from '98, none of us were on the board then.
So I would think that you could change that policy.
Yeah, but I wouldn't vote to change it until we have some
Legal guidance.
Legal guidance.
Right?
Okay.
So,
Sure.
worst case scenario, you got to come back in 2 weeks, okay? At our
Okay.
next meeting, and we'll have a, in the meantime, we'll have Matt go out to Natalie and whomever and say, hey, you know, the selectmen are considering changing this policy, right?
That's very old,
Well-
yes, yep.
It's now, well, 98, so it's been a while. So that would be my, let's get some guidance.
Okay,
And you know, in this particular 2336, the payment amounts that she's proposing to make, they're very reasonable. It's not like she's saying, you're
Absolutely.
going to pay $500 a month for the next 100 years.
absolutely. If she can
It's
pull
very
this off,
reasonable.
she'll be paid in full before the new bill comes out.
So, yeah,
So,
I'd be interested in tabling this until the next meeting after we get some guidance.
okay.
So let's bring it, we'll put you on for the next meeting,
Okay,
okay?
that was easy. Okay,
Okay, now,
yes.
So what are we gonna do with the check then? We're
I'm just
cash
gonna
it?
hang on to it. I've gotta call her back and,
The holder will return it. It's up to that.
Well,
Hold it until we get a
will
check,
2 months
enough
pay-
checks that cover the whole thing and then cash them?
No, we hold it until,
what
We
type
change
of
this
money are
policy.
we talking to
Right.
get that up to 3 years?
well, it won't matter, because she's tax acquired, so she's gotta pay it all.
Right.
No, I realize that, but, to get it out of auction, it's gotta be,
18,000.
For 3 years, not out
3
of
months
auction.
would get it out of auction.
No,
at least.
32,000 to get it
But I-
out of auction. She's gotta pay everything.
She has to
owes.
pay.
Right, I understand
I would
that.
surmise that the reason that that
Oh, I know,
Dale
but
and
she's
Willis and Brenda
Yeah.
signed that agreement originally, or signed that policy, was that to prevent people from,
doing,
doing that.
doing exactly
you know,
that.
trying to
Yeah.
bounce up against the
understand.
3-year auction limit.
Right, because you can't, obviously you can't run the town on
Right.
taxes not coming in.
But let's get some clarification from
Yeah.
Natalie first,
Yeah,
and then we'll,
and the property is probably worth 300,000 at this point, it's some
at
way.
least.
Try like 600.
All right?
okay, perfect.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you.
All right, we read public comment. Anyone that's not on the agenda or not a subject on the agenda who care to speak? Sensing none, we'll move on to the,
I'm here about new business.
yep, well then, we'll talk then,
Okay.
okay? All right, correspondence, we've got Senator Woodsome's communications, we got also communications from Congresswoman Chellie Pingrie in the 211 updates. If anybody's interested in that, can acquire most of it from the website. If not, call Laura, and she will make sure that you have access to copies. Reports and staff initiatives, selectmen's reports. Dwayne,
I
anything?
have nothing.
David?
Not this time, no.
Dana?
I'm good.
Michael?
Old Homes Days is looking for volunteers.
Okay?
You can reach them on the website. There's an email for
Okay.
the chair, or you can send me an email if you want to offer your help. We're planning on having it this year.
And I am all set as well. Matthew is under the weather tonight, so we will have no interim town administrator's report. So let's jump to new business.
It's provided on, he did provide it to us on paper.
Yes.
Under new business, 9A, discuss or vote on a request for changes to the zoning ordinance Section 3.01 to go to the planning board regarding a location of medical marijuana grow. Step up to the mic.
Good evening, my name is Kevin
You're
Wright.
Dana? Is it Dana?
No,
Or Dana?
Kevin.
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 All right, I'm sorry.
I just don't want to see a facility like that in town. We have enough of them around. I passed 3 of them within a mile in Hollis. I think if people need to acquire that sort of stuff, then I think it's easy enough to do. We have a beautiful town, and it's just not the kind of thing I think that we need, especially when you're talking about the use of the police force and adding that sort of element to town. I don't know that that adds to the quality of the town without consequences coming with it. So that's my...
So the request has been made to change the, it's allowed in our zone today, but only if it's on Route 202 or Route 5, right?
To grow or sell, or both?
Just to grow.
Just to
There
grow.
is no,
Medical only.
there is no cell, okay, there is no commercial cell in the town of Waterboro. Voters spoke several years ago, and there's 5 categories of commercial or residential use, or whatever the case may be, right? So there can't be a a commercial grow facility, there can't be a commercial sales, there can't be a testing facility, there can't be, what are the other 2? Forgetting. Anyway.
So what would the change allow?
So this is strictly a request to grow medical marijuana in an A&R zone that doesn't appear on Route 5 or 202.
Okay.
That's the request that came in from
This individual.
this individual.
Did this come to us via the planning board, though, from this individual? Or did it come from the individual to us?
It came from the individual.
Coming,
Our action is to pass it on
pass
to
it on to
the
the,
planning board for their recommendation.
So it doesn't, so does this person state where they want to put it? Because it says it's, what I'm hearing, if I'm correct, I don't want to be confused on this, especially if we're going to vote, is that this facility won't be on Route 5 or Route 202.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
It'd be somewhere else in the AR zone,
That's
somewhere
what
else.
That's what he's proposing.
That's
Okay.
what he's proposing, that the zoning ordinance be changed to.
I
Okay.
think it's
How come
Clark's
then-
Bridge Road, because he has it, it's written down at the
Does?
bottom, he wrote,
Oh, yeah.
For grow only facility. I don't see anything about, oh, okay, Clark's Bridge Road. Clark's Bridge
So-
Road, sorry.
So medical marijuana facilities are allowed within this community, commercial medical marijuana facilities, as long as it's in the A&R zone and it is located, the property is located on Route 202 or Route 5.
Okay.
That's the way the zoning reads today.
So if the zoning is changed, will it then be changed potentially again to allow more accommodations for other types of growing?
No,
I
this
mean, I'm not
is
saying that it
strict-
would automatically,
This is
but,
strictly a request to change section, the definition of,
my concern would be that it would open the door
free one.
to more changes to the growing policy of the town.
unless there's a petition, or this board decides to take it to the voters have spoken.
Okay.
So from a recreational use, if you want to call it that, on that side of the thing, there cannot be a grow facility, there cannot be a testing facility, there can't be a storefront. So,
So would, if the board voted to change the ordinance to what is being proposed, would anyone with AR property be able to grow? Or would they have to?
that's what
it's
the
looking like.
request is asking for. Anybody within an A&R zone.
Okay.
I do not like spot zoning, so it would open up the A&R zone,
Okay.
in my mind.
I own A&R property.
Yeah.
A lot of it, and I don't want, I mean, I would hate to just be able to go for a walk in the woods and come across.
Well, they have to be,
Yeah,
it has to be a managed, you can walk across the woods today and find a
Of course,
marijuana
I know
grower, right?
that. I understand
And that, because people have a right to grow their own, right? Or if someone is growing medical marijuana, they can do X amount without being quote-unquote commercial or a provider, right? So the definition of what constitutes a medical marijuana grow facility is in the zoning ordinance. And it's today restricted to 202 and Route 4
Okay.
in the A&R zone.
As a citizen of the town, I would request that you consider keeping it as tight as possible.
Okay.
Thank you.
So whoever submitted the application, the letter, are they here tonight?
That's what I'm wondering.
I don't see him.
Okay.
It's
Were they
fine
notified that
printed, I
we'd be
can't
bringing this
read
up
it.
tonight?
Yes,
They were.
yeah.
Okay.
So the question is that from the board's perspective, do we want to pass this on to the planning board to get their input on it? They're the ones that created it the way that it's written today, and that went through the public hearing process, went through this board at some point in time, a number of years ago, it was approved. So,
And
what is,
it went through the townspeople at that point. That was
no,
the
it could have gone through the townspeople,
Yeah.
you're right, depending on when it was done. So
What you got,
what's,
They're not here this evening.
okay. So what's your pleasure?
I'll speak.
Yeah.
It goes right back to, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, number one. My thought on this would be leave it alone as it is. And to the person or persons that petition this, if it's not important enough for them to come and discuss this with us, then I can't support it.
Second that.
So what is your,
I'll make a motion, we take no action on this.
Second.
okay? Any further discussion? All those in favor of taking no action? Opposed? Thank you. Does not prevent them from
Coming back.
coming back with
Agree.
or coming back with a petition.
It's like you said,
All right.
favorite thing.
So let's go
Yeah, why should
to
they have the support?
new business, item B, discuss vote on a request for changes to the zoning ordinance, section 4.13.1, to go to the planning board regarding mobile vendor licenses.
At this moment, I'm going to get up and sit out in the audience because I may have a conflict of interest here.
Okay? So you must be Mr. Wallace.
I am. How are you,
Step up to
gentlemen?
the mic.
Thank you for seeing me. So I have, my name's Dave Wallace, I live in Lyman. I have a couple of granddaughters that are in the school system here in Waterboro that would like to have a food truck or a food trailer in the town of Waterboro.
Yep.
So I am very in tune to food trailers. I've had many over the years and do the fair circuit and all that, but they want to have a permanent one, seasonal, I guess is the word, in the town of Waterboro. Well, as I'm reading through the ordinance, and I talked to the code enforcement officer, he said that the food trailer had to be moved every day. That was line number one, first item right on the list. I have ordinances from the surrounding towns. The only one I don't have tonight is Lyman, but I have Arundels, I have Kennebunks, I have Arundels, and all of those towns allow their food trailer or truck to stay there for the season. So they don't have a restriction that has to be moved every night. It's a big inconvenience to the person that has the food trailer because the food's got to stay frozen or cold in the refrigeration, and once that thing's you're allowed to plug it in permanently to the pole, and moving that thing every night is a big inconvenience. So what I could do is I could leave it where it is for the night and then move it to the lot next door, and I'm legally moved it, according to you guys. I could put it in the back field or the back corner of the neighbors, and I legally moved it. So it's just a big inconvenience for the person trying to have a food truck in the town of Waterboro. You guys give I believe it's a 6-month license, I think is what it is. So I'm proposing or asking that for the length of that license, that the food trailer be able to stay there for the season. And then you're going to find that even us, we probably go to a fair, we go to Freiburg Fair with it, or we might go to, a festival somewhere, so we'll probably be going in and out anyway. But we have the option to leave it there for the season. So that's my proposal on that one.
So are you, is that the only request that you are making that would go to, that we would vote on to go to the planning board to change, because you're going to end up going through this whole process again with the planning board?
Yep,
okay?
that's fine.
Because they ultimately make a recommendation to us, all right? So is it you only want to deal with
Just
not
line
the
one?
hours of operation.
Everything
not,
else
you know.
looks, everything else is good except for line 14.
I just want to make sure that if you're making a request to change the mobile vendor definition in the zoning ordinance, that you get a recommendation, or you make a recommendation for those items that are going to benefit you, right? I'm not telling you what those are.
Yeah,
but-
so
but all I'm saying
I'd like
is
to
that-
review line number 14 as well, on the same ordinance. Then I'm gonna make a suggestion to one that you add that's not on there. I was
I didn't know about it. so I didn't-
instrumental in,
Sorry.
No, that's fine, so we're not prepared for line 14. Do you have
okay,
it?
no problem.
Do you have it?
I have line 14 as well. Do you need?
Spit it out, let's hear
Okay,
it.
it's saying that you can only have one food trailer per, we'll call it lot, or plot of land, or,
Yep.
so I am asking if you guys have ever been down to Wells and see the food truck that they have down there next to Congans. They have a, like, I'll call it a food cart corral down there in the summertime. It attracts a lot of businesses, a lot of people go there. And I'm asking why you only have one per.
Because if you have multiple ones, now you're changing the use of the property.
Well, I mean, there's still mobile,
So-
there's still
so-
mobile vendors.
But somebody could go to the planning board and get a conditional use permit, you know, to do multiple trucks or whatever the case may be. I believe that still is available to them if they wanted to have, like Congdon does, or whatever
Yeah.
the case may be. A business could come into the town of Waterboro and recommend that, or they could go to the planning board and get a conditional use permit to do that, right? So it's not, that would have to deal with the use, the conditional use of the property.
Okay.
That wouldn't affect that
So,
line 14.
what would be the process for that?
Well, I mean, I guess if that's something that you want to broach with the planning board, then, you know, certainly you can broach it with them. But, you know, our recommendation to them is going to be to review, or not a recommendation, but is to review what you requested here, right? Is to be able to leave, you're talking about leaving a mobile vending or truck or whatever,
Right.
or food truck,
Right.
right? On site for the length of the permit, okay? So.
I guess it should say up to the length of the permit, because as he said, that he may pull out or pull in from time to time to go to different vendors, different sites, which, I mean, this unit that he's got.
At least you have the option.
Got an option, but
Awesome, thank you.
something like this could go to your old home days, or your fireworks, or whatever, or somewhere else.
I'll go to a fair.
Your agricultural fairs for 2 or 3 days, so.
So you were actually referring to line 13, right?
Line-
Where it says
I think it
one
was
unit,
14.
not 14, right?
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, that's all right.
I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Line 14 is what I show here.
Okay, the one I have is mobile vendors shall be minimum of 20 feet from the abutting property on 14. And it's 13, one mobile vendor is allowed on any single lot.
14 on mine.
Okay.
I printed it off
Where did
tonight.
you get a copy of yours?
I printed it off tonight off the website.
Okay.
Okay.
That kinda got flipped around.
Yep,
And
no,
I-
that makes sense.
And I'm gonna make one more suggestion that you guys do not have.
I don't know
that-
Angela got this.
No, that's fine.
that some of the other towns do have, is you don't have a size limit on a food trailer. So I technically get a 14 by 70 mobile home, put a serving window in there, and put it on the corner lot. So I think you want to cover yourselves by saying a certain size limit. Like, I'll give you an example. The town of Kennebunk has 210 square feet, is the largest that you can have in the town for a food truck or a food trailer.
Well,
Like I said, I helped Arundel.
This goes back to mobile vendors shall not leave equipment, da-da-da-da. Let's see.
I don't think you had a size limit in it.
Mobile
unless I missed
vendors
it.
shall comply with the state of Maine rules.
There is no rule
Okay,
on
so
size.
there's not a state of
No.
Maine rule? All right.
I think inherent in how this is written is that somebody wouldn't have a mobile home and be moving that every day. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
move it
So I
every
don't
day,
think we
correct.
felt like we had to.
No, I understand.
Right.
Yeah,
You can't have a
correct.
350 square foot mobile home,
I got-
because you're gonna need a wide load permit every day you move it downtown, right?
I have to disagree with you because the agricultural fairs, I've run them for 45 years now, and these vendors are very clever. And you buy your footage and your backland is free. And they pull in with a 8-foot wide trailer and it'll be 40 or 50 feet long. And
Absolutely.
they drive it in just like this table and you're only paying for the footage up front. So in most cases, the agricultural fairs have, over the years, smartened up just a tad. Because you sell it by the square footage and not frontage.
But anyway, that's all I'm asking for, at least line one, for sure.
I do have a question. Where is this gonna be?
Well, I haven't got my permit finalized yet, but we're looking on the corner of 202 and 5, which is Mr. Woodsome property.
Okay.
Across from the entrance of Hannaford, which you guys had a food trailer there at one time.
Yeah.
That looked like a, piece of crap,
No,
but
we
whatever.
we didn't have a food truck.
Somebody did.
Well,
Well, you allowed one there, how's that?
Town of Waterboro permitted one,
Yeah.
7 or 8 years ago.
Right, didn't you have a taco one here in town?
I was just gonna ask,
This
how's
past summer?
that?
That's not me, so.
That would fall under the same thing.
It'd fall under the same
Understood,
thing.
but the one that was at Waterways just over the summer was there for a few weeks before.
Right, they were supposed to technically move it every day.
JD's has had one come and go too in the parking lot.
That's a come and go.
Yes, but the
That's a
ADs
come and go.
This would
moves every
help,
night.
Yeah.
this would help that young lady, so
Absolutely.
that she didn't have to pick up everything at night.
Because you gotta bring it back in, re-level it up to make sure everything's working and,
I mean,
just a big
you
inconvenience
watch
every
her
day to
set
move it.
that up.
Your hours of operation, everything else is good. You guys have the
Take a couple
easiest, you have the easiest mobile vending contract between the last 4 towns.
Mr., I forgot your name? I'm sorry.
Wallace.
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 Okay. I guess the only thing that I can think of that would be a concern is, well, one, we'd have to have a public hearing, right? Okay.
When it comes back to you.
After the planning board.
Or the planning board,
Right.
would
For us to
probably
vote
go
the
through.
change that they recommend into the zoning ordinance. I guess the only concern I would have, and I'm just saying what people in the area might say, is if it's there for 6 months out of the year, and nobody has any say on what it looks like, or what it becomes, okay, is what happens to somebody's property value right next door. That's the only thing I can think of, is to just think of people's property values and what it's gonna look like and how it would affect them. That's-
Well, in order to get the permit, you have to bring a picture of the food trailer, food wagon. So you guys have to approve it initially. And then again,
Do we have guidelines for that? or
Yes.
if
well, you have
one and not the
guidelines
other,
saying
if
that
one's
you have to,
ugly, you know, like-
picture of the inside, the outside, it's gotta be state licensed. So it has to be food safe approved. And again, the outside, if somebody's gonna trash it, then they need to get written notice. I don't know. I mean, you would think you're running a food business, you wanna try to keep it clean and neat and looking respectable.
If this was a rapid raise operation,
It may
like
be.
in Saco,
It-
right?
it-
Like, that's a clean cut business. But I don't know what it's gonna look like in 5 or 10 years from now. If this
Well,
thing
again-
just sat there and.
Again, you're stuck there for 6 months, you don't have to give them a license next year.
Oh, okay.
And we got-
Right.
It's only a 6-month license.
It's a 6-month
for-
license, so,
Point taken.
Yeah,
if you don't like the way it looked, then don't give them a license next year.
Point taken.
and DHS is gonna come in and inspect this. and-
Yeah, you get inspected once a year,
and
unless
when I say-
you get a complaint. If somebody complains, then,
The other thing is that we don't charge anybody for a license.
and you should be, and I'm trying to get a license, and I'm saying you should be charging me.
When I
Should be
say
charging something.
DA
I'll just give you an example, Arundel charges 100. It's not major expense, but again, we're trying to create, if we do 1 or 2 food trucks, we're gonna probably create some jobs in town. We're gonna need some high school kids to work, and 2 of them will be my granddaughters. I mean, they wanna work, so
I
we're
think
trying
that
to
is cool.
create jobs at the same time. I mean, we do have pizza and Chinese in Waterboro, we've got that covered.
Yeah,
You don't even have an ice cream place, really. So,
no.
So what's the board's pleasure? You want to send this off to the planning board?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, we'll send off a letter to the planning board with your recommendation. You're going to have to come support at the planning board meeting of what you want.
All right, no problem.
They did cancel tomorrow night's meeting, but
Yep.
we'll have another one in 2 weeks.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay?
That's all I got.
Thank you. All right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We didn't vote on that.
Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't vote on that?
We didn't.
All those in favor?
You did vote, didn't you?
401.
I saw invisible.
Wayne abstained. You're abstaining, right?
Yes.
Okay, discuss
Thank you.
vote, discuss approve ballot clerks for calendar year 2024, FY 24. So this would be, this came from Marina. The list.
I will move that we accept the list that she gave us.
Second.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Mike did.
Oh, I'm sorry. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Nice.
5-0. All right.
Do you want me to use my copy to sign it? Just pass it around?
No, it's in the map. Okay, so, next item is the request of Mr. Lowe, Mr. Gilpatrick, and Ms. Bartlett. This is to do with
The addition to the agenda.
Maine State Orthoimagery Program. David, you're gonna have to explain it. Okay. See, it's all the other two aren't here.
Step out from behind there, it seems.
Okay, Maine Orthoimagery Program is a part of Maine Geolibrary's portfolio of sorts, run by the state government, ultimately. They do a flyover every 5 years. It's a 5-year project of flying over the entire state, getting new imagery, satellite imagery of all the towns in the county. Basically, they're concerned with the borders of the town and the borders of the county, and not so much with our property lines, because they don't need to get down to that level of detail. So they do a flyover that's a 12-inch resolution detail. A 12-inch detail means on a map that 1 inch equals 200 feet. So the accuracy for us to use that for property lines is really rough. They offer, as part of this flyover, the ability for towns to do a buy-up, where you can upgrade your image to as low as 3 inches, which 1 inch equals 50 feet. At that point, you can see stop signs, stone walls, where phone poles go into the ground, all that kind of stuff. So it's very useful for correcting your property lines. We have a big property line issue on our GIS. I mean, if you blow up any area, you'll see lines going through houses, in the middle of the road and everything else. And that's just because the nature of GIS over the years has been inconsistent lines. For instance, when you draw with a fine point pencil versus a pen, that line could turn into 20 feet when you use it on a map. So as that initial GIS got laid out, it just became very inaccurate, and they did the best as they could to lay it over the existing satellite imagery that was available for free. We are in desperate need of adjusting our property lines so we have accurate lines for people, and we're in talks with CIA Technologies, the guys who host our GIS and who developed the first GIS that's existing now, on how to accomplish that. They essentially need to take all of our surveys that we possibly could gather up, and then put those with town borders and try to fill in the gaps either using our property cards or by researching every single deed, which is ultimately the best way to do it. Any property that doesn't have a survey, they would actually go get all the deed information, all, you know, whatever they can get, and do an accurate representation of it. So in the whole process, we need a very detailed base layer. Ultimately, what all of this is about is just getting that first base layer, having a high quality flyover, that buy-up that they're talking about, where we go to the 3-inch detail. The cost to do that is way more if we were to do it ourselves, like 3 to 4 times or 5 times what they're offering. They're offering a $33,000 buy-up to get this done now. For us to do it on our own is way more than that. A good 4 to 5 times that to do it on our own. So it's a very cost-effective way. Their prices are going to be going up in the next round. We just missed the application deadline of February 28th, but they're offering us, because we deal with CAI, and he's on the Maine Library Board, he's offering to get us kind of snook in under the radar there last minute if we can manage to get this together like now, this week, and figure out if we can do it. There's a great cost savings in getting it done now as opposed to the next 5-year cycle, simply because the costs of everything are going up. Fuel and salaries and plane parts and every, you name it, it's all going up. So a lot of towns are using the ARPA money or different infrastructure grants or whatever to accomplish it, and that's probably our opportunity as well. So that's kind of what it boils down to, getting this base layer.
Does this benefit Public Works in any way?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, with an accurate, detailed image like that, we can place culverts exactly where they belong instead of roughly where they belong. Fire hydrants. Like I said, we can map stop signs. We can map everything.
Is that going to 2 rods, 3 rods, 4 rods, 5 rod roads? Is that going to lay out that type of stuff without surveys and whatnot? I'm just thinking about going right up Route 5. You've got anywhere from a 3-rod road to a 5-rod road from here to the Limerick Bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with any of these town roads. You go from a 2-rod road to a 3-rod road to 66 feet. And that makes a heck of a difference when you're trying to build a piece of road here in town.
Yeah.
You've got to research and try to find where the right-of-ways are and what we can stay within.
Yeah, this would certainly be helpful in that, but I think that may come together a little bit more as we are able to start, correcting property lines and whatnot. I mean, you'll have a super accurate picture of where that road is, but our property lines are not going to be super accurate on top of that until we address that as well.
In some cases, it's to the front side of the stone wall. In some cases, it's to the back side, which gives you another 10 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Not that we want to take some of these stone walls down, but do we own them or don't we own them when we're going up through there trying to do some ditching?
Yeah.
I'm thinking of one job right now that we've got some trees and a major stone wall, and it's creating quite a water problem here, but is that going to take care of finding out where the right-of-way is? Or what the right-of-way is?
I suppose as we get through the whole project, and they've gone through all of those deeds and whatnot over a course of 5 years or whatever, that certainly would. I think we address a lot of missing stuff. We have missing lots. I mean, just today Shirley was showing me a couple of lots that have no numbers or have no data associated with them. You can't even figure out, where it went. It's basically a big lot deleted. And we have no idea we know who owns it, but we don't see any record of, why it's not listed. Has it been joined with another lot or whatever? So there's a lot of deed research that'll be done in the process of this that would answer a lot of these questions. We need a new set of maps.
But this is the base.
This is the very
foundation,
base.
sounds like, for it.
This is the base you need to get accurate stuff on top of that.
Who do
Without
we go
this,
to
you're
get the
just-
accurate stuff on top of it after?
What's that?
Who do we go to get the accurate stuff on top
Same,
of it
same
after?
company,
The same company?
same company,
They'll
yeah.
lay it on there for us, or we have to pay them extra to lay that accurate?
Oh, that's, they have to do a heck of a lot of work, so it's about $20 per lot for a minimal, like using the property card measurements to kind of fill in the gaps between surveyed land, and you'll come out with a rough, way better product. Or you bite off the thing once, and it's about $70 a parcel for them to go through and actually get all the deeds and everything else they can find associated with that and have a super accurate measurements and in detail of the lot itself. So
Did you say that Hollis has just done that?
Hollis just completed it. Yeah, they bid off the whole thing at once because it's the only way to do it. And they came out with a set of maps.
They did the $70.
Yeah. Yep. They came out with a set of maps, and you don't have to pay the $70 for surveyed properties. So we subtract all of our surveyed properties out of that because they're already done. They have a set of maps that they were able to produce from that now that are, they show the map area as white, and then the next maps are shaded gray. So you don't have to try to line those things up and figure out where you're going. You can see immediately, what's the next map. So when you go to the next map, it's easy to follow the trail.
So for parcels already surveyed, it remains as it is? You don't have to redo that?
No cost.
Under this?
No, those are just dropped
Because
on.
they can overlay that right into.
Just want to be clear.
And I mean, we probably have 1,000 of those anyway, so I would imagine by now.
What's the total cost?
You're looking at whatever number of lots is left beyond that. I think we have 4,500 lots, something like that. Figure if 1,000, I'm just guessing that there's 1,000 done, so 3,500 times 70. It's a couple $100,000
Yeah, I was
bucks.
gonna say a couple $100,000, yeah.
Yeah, so over 5 years, we probably could get it, $50,000 over 5 years, or $45,000 over 5 years, something like that, and have it all done finally. And then start building on that, because there's a lot, smaller dollar things you can do once you have all of that stuff laid out properly.
So the real question, I think, becomes, we don't certainly have money floating around to pick this up, but if this qualifies under APRA, then we ought to consider jumping onto this. If not, we're going to wait, 5 years?
No, you could actually get in the next cycle. It may be the fall. They do spring and fall flyovers because no foliage, so they get you could
But
see
the price is
most
going to be
stuff.
the price is going to be the same.
The price is going to go way
Well,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not going to be the same.
So
Right, because of the fuel to fly.
we can use that money that we got reimbursed, that
Right.
800,000, or whatever
Right.
it was. So,
I think, based on what other municipalities are doing. So
I wonder what
as
their
long as we-
justification is.
I mean, if that's the case, why wouldn't we do the whole thing at once and get it over with?
Well, we have 2 years to get it done, I guess, so we can make that proposal, right? But this is to just build the foundation, right?
Right.
Which is the flyover, the initial flyover.
Right.
But you're right, I mean, we ought to look at, can ARPA fund be used to do the drill down? And that might be what Hollis is doing, I'm not sure.
A lot of
Okay.
towns are, yeah.
So,
I don't know how it qualifies. I don't know where in there it qualifies,
Yeah.
but
Can you get us that
I
information,
can
Dave?
ask what they're, how they were justifying it.
That
but-
falls under the same thing as the water and,
infrastructure,
Fire,
financial
yeah.
infrastructure.
It might be on
Yeah,
there.
the watershed
Infrastructure
was a
of
big
the
one.
town.
It
Yeah.
could be.
Yep.
Okay.
I'd be interested in doing the initial, and then maybe even considering later setting aside opera money to bite off the apple.
right.
But at least do the initial now. As a matter of fact, I'd make that a proposal right now.
And maybe we could have them you know, we could even break it down, let's do the village districts.
Right.
Let's do.
Right.
Right,
Then go to.
but
Exactly.
if we buy into this now at 33,000 using opera money, we could always discuss later on if we want to continue to do the $70 per line at that.
Yeah.
And if opera money covers it. and
If
maybe
you bite it
something
off
we
all
wanna
at once,
cons-
it's cheaper too, so they'll do a better
They'll
deal.
negotiate a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
That, my suggestion, not, to start with, if you're gonna break it down, do your village, your A&R, and then go from there to your F&A and conservation, because 90%
The village
of
is the big bite.
The village and A&R are your biggest bite, because that takes care of 202 and 5,
And that's where
Yeah.
property lines are
yeah.
important for structures too.
Yeah,
All right, so David, do you want to make a motion
I
that we
would. Oh.
move forward with jumping on the
do.
Maine State Ortho Imagery
That's a tough one to say.
Program?
Well, it's not orthodontic, actually, it's ortho-image.
How does this have to do with fossils or bones?
I'll second that.
Okay, been moved and seconded. We need to just understand whether ARPA funds, if ARPA funds don't pay for it, then we're
We can't do it.
SOL, right? So, all those in favor?
And the
Providing
motion-
it's opera
The
funded.
motion is if
Right.
opera funds.
Right,
Correct.
right.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Right.
we don't have anybody other than that. So,
Yeah.
right. All those in favor? Opposed? All right. All right,
I
so
think that's a good investment.
hook up
Some
with
details.
CIA or CAI and
That's a good investment. All right.
start
They might
moving.
get just as much out of CIA.
Yes. you might get it. All right. We have no old business this evening, so let me jump here.
I move that we approve the minutes of February 15th.
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
How's that for moving your hand?
Pending decisions,
He was here, so quiet.
week's action list, we need to get a letter off to the planning board so that they start to look at the mobile vending section of their ordinance per the request of Mr. Wallace. And we need to just satisfy Dave, you're gonna get with Matt. He's back in tomorrow and we square away with dealing with this
Yeah, sending the,
Maine State
yeah.
Ortho Imagery.
Now, I got a question
Yep.
with the Mr. Wallace thing. Like he said, most surrounding towns have a $100 permit fee or whatever, and we don't. Can we ask the planning board if they can apply that, or
Yeah,
how's that work?
we can, the fees for for all of the fees associated with building and whatnot, is not part of the ordinance. So we can have a review of that anytime that we want.
And we can set a price of whatever we want.
So Mike, I would get a request from Mike to say, okay, and maybe we get that from Mike as we move forward here with the season coming up. What does he recommend for a,
Well, that's why I'm asking right there.
Even-
If we're going to the planning board now, we might as well
Yeah.
include that at the same time.
I will add to that, your vendors at your old home days,
Yep.
your vendors, the old home days, we issue as a selectman. As a one-shot deal for a one-day event.
Yeah.
They may not have them if they can't.
The Mexican unit, 2 or 3 others here in town, all gotta have that permit.
Right.
To set up.
Yeah.
So, because it's not a permanent structure.
So old home days would be like blanketed
Yeah.
under one
Under
umbrella.
one, Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
But if somebody went to, the beer truck isn't, down to
That's a special,
That's a special
amusement
event, yeah.
permit,
Yeah.
right?
And they
at the
come in and
parks.
get it, so. yeah.
And he's,
Because it's alcohol related, it comes before the selectmen, not the planning board. or
He
code
has his own
enforcement.
catering license.
right, but we have to approve
Yes.
his license on an annual basis, right?
Yes.
For liquor.
And I agree with you, Dana, there should be some type of a fee, because either they're coming before us or coming before the
Yeah,
code enforcement, just to cover the cost.
I was gonna say, Mike's got time involved, so it wouldn't,
Yeah.
it's not a bad
Dennis, we
thing.
also have to bring the policy that Christine was talking about to legal counsel.
Yeah, so we need Matt to at least touch base with Natalie relative to what our exposure would be to change that policy
Okay.
from 1998. My guess is that they did that for a reason, and that was so that people didn't pay a few years and get off from the tax-acquired property list.
I do believe that I handled some of that way back with, not Willis, but Bob and Doug, I think. But
Yeah.
some of them had come in and agreed to pay, and it wasn't.
Well, you used to make an agreement.
Yeah, but a lot of them didn't follow through with it. So I think you'll find that's why that's in there, because they weren't paying up. They'd get going and then just not pay.
All right, so discussion of agenda items for next meeting. We have, bringing back Christine,
Right.
right? We have the request that we review the E911 issue on Colby Drive. We'll put that on. That's from Mike sent us that request.
Yeah, he asked to be on the next agenda.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know whether we probably ought to find out from him, did the folks agree to the consent agreement that we passed?
I had Angela looking into that
Yeah.
this evening, so
Right.
that's still a work in progress.
We just need an update from the board, from the board. We voted, you know,
Russell.
on a fee and all that good stuff. Did they agree to it?
Okay.
Or are we back looking to go to court?
Oh, for the shoreline?
Correct.
Right.
Anything else? We need the items needing signature, list of ballot and election clerks for 20, I think it's 2023 to 2024.
We need to set a night on the budget,
Yes.
because we're up against the wall here.
Well, Matt has to present the budget
Present it,
to us
yeah.
by the 15th.
The
Yeah,
2022 is correct for the June election this year.
Okay, so I would suggest that on the agenda, we have Matt present the
Budget.
the 24, the 23 budget to us.
Yep.
do we want to set a date?
Next
True.
meeting, right?
Well,
To take,
then we have to
We have
approve it
to
by the
approve it.
14th of
Yeah.
April.
Right.
Can we get a copy of it?
I
So,
thought they was talking the
Yeah.
9th, the 10th of April.
Yeah,
Is it the 14th?
yeah, I think we've got the 5th of April is our first meeting in April,
Yes.
so it's gotta be approved before the 14th.
Second, yeah,
So, we either approve it on the 5th,
yeah.
okay, so if we have him present it in 2 weeks, then if we get any questions, I guess we'll have a workshop to work
Because
through
there
that.
is still a couple figures coming in, but
Yeah, because your meetings in April are the 5th and the 19th.
Right, so the 19th is too late,
Right,
so it's gotta be approved by the 5th, or on the 5th, right?
right.
Okay? So we'll have him present to us the collective budget from he and the budget committee.
Yep. For next meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
All right? Anything else? Sensing none, all those in
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn?
Second.
meeting just for that, for the 29th.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. We got an issue.
All those in favor? Opposed? Good night.